Hey guys, Toxic here with some more Unbound with Seb. Unbound, our series of where we talk about really anything we want. It's kind of the why we call it Unbound. Is that right, Seb? Am I getting the idea? Because this is our second 40k episode, but yeah, yeah. So today we're talking about 7th edition, mostly kind of like a first impressions. Would you say?
Yeah.
I mean, we played our first game last night. Last morning, yesterday morning, yeah. Time zones. Yeah. So Seb, do you want to start off? How'd it go?
Well, I've got to say that I'm absolutely really loving the new rules. It's like addition to the 6th edition rules with a few changes. Obviously, there's the big psychic phase, which is a big change that I'm sure we'll talk about in a lot more detail in a bit because it's crazy and it's a lot of fun, but also very dangerous. But yeah, the main thing for me is really enjoying the rules so far and having a lot of fun. And it's so lovely that the amount of kind of kickback and worry there was before the rules, people seem to be loving it now, which is good.
It's definitely fun. I've had one game. It was 1,000 points. My copy of the rulebook still hasn't arrived, even though I pre-ordered it. But that's another topic. Oh, I'll just end this call right now. I'll just be me for the rest of the show. But yeah, so where was I getting at? Oh yeah, so I don't even really have my copy. I have the digital copy that I got for a legitimate means while I wait for my. Hey, I purchased the damn copy. It's not my fault they haven't got it to me yet. So yeah, so I mean, it was fun. It was really fun. Every time the new edition comes out, I feel like I'm playing a new game, and this was, almost even more so. It always brings back that little bit of nostalgia of when you first start playing that I kind of talked about in the last episode, where you just play with what you have and you just have fun with the rules that you got because you don't know any others, and it definitely kind of felt like that, where it was like, yeah, and yeah,
Also,
I had a blast.
not too alien at the same time as well.
What's that?
Like it feels new and fresh, but without being too alien.
Oh, definitely. It was like we kind of got into some habits though. It's like you do something and then you're like, well, that's how it works, right? And you're like, well, does it still work like that? And then we check it and it's like, whoa, that doesn't work like that anymore. So you kind of got to be careful because you can easily start playing 7th and finish playing 6th, like if you're not careful. Like, because you could just get in your habits and you're like, whoa, what we meant to do? Yeah, well, whatever.
It's
So
not like sitting on a objective when we were playing tactically, going, "I'm going to get 3 points from this." No, you're not.
yeah, and I was falling into the same thing as well though, because it's hard to break that mentality of like those objectives are going to be worth something at the end when I had 4 objectives locked down at one point with 3 tactical objective cards in my hand. So the max I was ever going to get was going to be another 3, but I kept all my units on 4 anyway instead of moving them up. But at the same time, it's not a bad strategy because eventually you're going to draw a tactical objective card that's going to be worth something on that, and you don't want to have to run all the way back. So it's really I love how the game evolves as you're playing, and that's only with they still have the way that you can play it like 6 with those rules, like the set kind of objectives. But I really think the way to play now is with those tactical objective cards.
It's a lot of fun, definitely a lot of fun, and just to have things that are going on, just to have focus. Like obviously you're trying to shoot and kill and do all that good stuff, but having these little missions, and because the one we played where the missions were open, Sarah and I have also played a game with secret missions, and that in itself is even a bit more fun because you don't know you have no idea how many victory points the person's got or what they're going for.
My question with that one though is, wouldn't what do they do with their card when they've completed the objective? Like they just throw it away? Because then you know that they've scored something, right? Or do you keep your cards till the end?
But that would be one. That would be a weird one that goes against the pack for writing it down. I think it'd be where we would just using the book. We were writing them down, so just ticking them off, so then the person doesn't know because they'd have to go back in the deck. So yeah, that's a bit.
Because the only way
deck each.
the only way like I could see a secret one's working. Well, I mean obviously it works other ways, but the way that I think would be cool to work is if like you had your objectives from the start, and you just had to complete those objectives. You didn't like gather new ones like we did. Like, because I think the gathering them works when you have them shown, because then you can just keep a tally. But if you're doing it secret, yeah, it's kind of weird. It's like, well, I completed that one. Well, you can get an idea of what it's going to be.
The one we were playing, you always had 3.
Always had 3.
Yeah, so and like obviously you could see if you were swapping them out, but you presume they've always got 3.
Yeah. Well, we'll figure it out once we get to. I'm sure we're going to play that like eventually.
Yeah.
And yeah, I mean, tactical objectives are really fun. I actually felt like I was. It didn't feel so. I don't want to say stale, but like it didn't feel so like, well, God, I've played 100 games of Warhammer and I've done this, the same objective every time. You know what I mean? It kind of felt like you're out there with your force and you're getting I don't know, a message, a Vox message from High Command, or you're getting I don't know how Chaos do it, crystal balls or something like that from their no, I'm sure they have like a witch with a crystal ball sending them messages. But yeah, and it kind of felt like that you're getting like told like this is what you have to do, go out there and do it, and you're like, okay. I mean, it falls flat on its face sometimes when they're like, shoot a flyer. Oh, there is no flyers. What do you want me to do? Shoot my own flyer? Like, but no. But yeah, definitely. Well, I mean, it wasn't like, if you actually read the description, it's not like they were saying like, go kill that flyer. It's more like, we need air superiority. We need to make sure that the air stays, clean. We don't need any enemy aircrafts. And you're like, well, it's clean. But I think it would have been cool if they didn't take flyers, like you got a point for that, like maybe like secondary objectives, like if like at the end of the turn no flyers showed up, you get 1 point, because technically the air stayed clean. There was no flyers to deal with. So I think that would be kind of cool if you got bonuses for ones where your opponent just didn't have that, like they like, because if you're in Unbound, like, do you even have to take an HQ? So if you don't have to take an HQ, then you don't have a Warlord, so Slay the Warlord is useless. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So if you get Kingslayer, it'd be kind of cool if like those cards that were just kind of rubbish to you would be worth something at the end. I mean, it's difficult to balance that though, because 1 point for having a card that you didn't have to do anything, and then 1 point for going out there and taking an objective or destroying a unit. It's like, how much is 1 point worth? But yeah.
Yeah. It's kind of crazy, but like, I think the idea also is that these ones that you can't complete are there to hinder like if certain objectives are going to help hinder you. So if you're sat in objective 1 and you roll 11, you're laughing. But if that's the opposite end, sat with a bunch of tanks in front of it, it's not so good.
Plus, it just gives you the incentive to collect more cards. Cause I know at one point, once I wiped out those 2 squads on objective, I think it was like 2 or something.
Yeah.
Like, you had 1 unit scoring for the majority of that game, so you're getting 1 card a turn. Where I spread out and I was getting, 3 cards a turn nearly. And when you're getting 3 cards a turn, you're completing more. And it was, And, one of those 3 I was pretty much bound to complete every turn as well. I think like the most I did was a cash in, probably like 3-4 in the 1 turn. I think it was 3.
Nice.
But yeah, it was like, yeah. So that was, I think that was mostly with the game that we were playing. How it was like how you got the cards, because you said the one that you played was you had 3 always, right?
Yeah.
Where the one we played was you get 1 at the start, plus however many objectives you hold up to 6. So the max you could get was 6 in 1 turn if you had 0 objectives, and if you had 6 objectives and 0 tactical cards, theoretically you could draw 6 in 1 turn. But yeah.
Very, very few objectives, which is sad times.
And I think that kind of shows, like, I mean, here's the thing we got to talk about. I mean, it's bound to come up, is Unbound. Unbound as in the rule, not this show. But yeah, and to be honest, I didn't even think about taking an Unbound list. Like, I just completely forgot about it until my list was made, and I was like, damn, I could have taken Unbound, like, if I wanted to. Well, if Seb agrees,
Yeah.
And I feel like if you take Unbound, it is going to kind of hurt you in those objectives.
But this is the thing, like how I was going to say, we are saying maybe tossing a coin, because how do you actually decide? Because it says you just decide or agree.
If you can take Unbound or not.
I wouldn't if you're going to play like Hammer of War or Maelstrom of War missions. So like you need some, like obviously if you agree, if someone's going to take Unbound, they're going to not want to agree to take tactical. So maybe there should be like a coin toss or something.
I think it's more like a negotiation. It's like you're going to be like, well, I'm going to take my 9 Riptide list. Well, then I want to play, you know, these
Yeah.
objectives. And it's like, well, I don't want to because I'm playing Unbound. It's like, well, I'm not going to play you then. Like,
Yeah, because you've got the command benefits, the old ideal mission commander, so you can re-roll Warlord if you take the combined arms detachment, which is force organization, and the objectives secured. So all troops from this detachment have objectives secured special rule, and they can they have priority over objectives, basically, which is kind of awesome. Which is obviously why you need to take troop if you want to score.
yeah, when we were kind of looking for that rule, and I was like saying, because I'm like, Seb, isn't there like a special rule for troop? And you're like, I don't know, I haven't seen it. And I'm like, well, it doesn't make sense. Like, why would I take troop? And then we're like, we found it, and we're like, well, that makes more sense.
Yeah.
Because I kept forgetting that anything could score, and I really like that. I didn't know, I thought that was going to be a negative thing. Because I was like, well, what's a, because you get so stuck in your ways, like, troops score, nothing else scores, but you kind of feel like, well, it makes sense now. It's like, if my tanks are sitting in the objective in the middle of the ground, keeping you away, why don't I have that objective?
In the middle of the ground, spread across 2 objectives, like a.
Well, the only reason why they were spread across 2 is because you immobilized one. And he couldn't move on.
Yeah, that is true.
I was trying to get up to your objective, and you immobilized him on that objective.
Yeah.
Yeah, which actually I have to think, can immobilized vehicles even take objectives? They might not be able to. That could be something that we'd have to check up. Just thought of that then.
Yeah.
Either way, like, it was, either way, back to my point, it's like, if you have, like, tanks and they're on an objective and they're dominating, it's like, it makes sense that they would have that objective. But then it also makes sense that some troops could come up, outmaneuver them, and take it off them. And I love that. I love the whole, like, the troops take priority, because it makes sense. You're infantry. Like, you're that's what you're designed for. The only reason why you're here is to capture things, basically. Otherwise, we would just take tanks.
Yeah.
And it's kind of, I do like that. Like, so you could roll your tanks out, capture it, and then you could run your troops out once the tanks have wiped everyone off, and then capture it. Kind of like seal that objective off.
Oh, look yourself in, yeah.
Yeah, so like then you send your tanks off to get another one, and send your troops up kind of behind your tanks, and I think it just opens up like more tactical, like, yeah, more tactics. Like, yeah, it's I can't say enough about the just the army, making your army, and the missions. The missions are great. I'm glad they kept the old ones in there too. Why not keep them? Like, there's no reason why not to.
Totally, if you think about it, they're like a quicker game, aren't they? Essentially.
And I like it that they also have a lot of information in there about saying, like, make your own missions. Like, do what you want. Like, this is your game. Play it the way you want to. If you want to make your own, if you want to base a mission around like your armies, or do what you want. Like, they basically say, like, you can play one of our ones, or just play the game. Like, they even, like, you don't even have to play a mission. You could just play a game. Like,
It's nice being able to do what you want, and like, if you don't want to do what you want, there's a good template of stuff that you can do already, which is awesome. And like, we're talking about the objectives. Like, there's a nice variety of those, like the capture and hold, take and hold, storm and defend, seize ground, the various purges and annihilations. Because some of these objectives are hard.
Oh yeah.
Crazy hard.
Yeah, some of them, like, some of them are pretty difficult, and some of them are going to change difficulty as well, because if you have, say, shoot down a flyer, and you're going up against weak flyers, you're going to be like, easy, this is cake. They have like 6 flyers, but they're all 10 all round, or whatever. You're like, I can take them down easy. But other times you're gonna be like, well, that's a freaking Storm Raven. It's gonna be difficult. I only have strength 7 anti-air or whatever. And then other times you're gonna be like, capture objective 6. Well, he has his whole army on objective 6. Or and other times it's gonna be a capture objective 6. And you're like, sweet, I already have it.
It's a lovely feeling when you draw a card that you've already got.
It's nice because you're just like, yes, I just got a point. Because at the end of your turn as well, it's like, all I have to do is not kill myself on my own turn.
Yeah. And it stops this. Like, I know I started off being far too cavalier, and then I became quite turtly in my last few games of 6th edition. But it really stops people turtling because you have to go and get the objective and do things.
Yeah, I'm kind of bad with that because I that's what I did is I have my veterans and I sit them in cover, and that's what they're designed to do, is just sit in cover. They don't need to transport because they have +1 to the cover save, so they're really kind of hardy. They're like little space marines if you can get them in ruins. And yeah, and it's like they don't need to move. But if I don't have objectives, I gotta run them. Like, if you draw those tactical objectives that don't suit, like, you need to be ready for that. I'm thinking about getting some chimeras or some, Taroks, just so they have something in case they need to move.
In case you need to sideboard them in.
Yeah. Well, like, what if, let's say I had a chimera in there, and when I drew that card that was like capture objective 6, and you were on objective 6. Like, at that point, I'm like, well, I'm never going to get my troops there. They're just going to walk, and get destroyed. But if I have a Chimera, I can put them in the Chimera and drive them up to Objective 6.
Then you could even drive the Chimera, drop them off, drive the Chimera to another objective.
That's another awesome thing, is that with the tactical objectives scoring at every turn and changing, you don't have to sit there and camp in an objective. It's good.
I learned my lesson about that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Only in Anvil of War do you get 3 points for an objective. But I mentioned slightly sarcastically the sideboarding thing there. There's one of the rumours that was going to be that you could swap out various units that you had ready when you saw your opponent's army list. That does not seem to be in here at all. That was one of those bit spurious rumours, I think.
I like that. I like... It forces you to take an all-comers army list. I mean, I kind of like the idea of being... It's difficult, because I like the idea of having, I have my Hydra in my sideboard, so if I see you come up with a Helldrake, I swap out and I put in my Hydra. But it's not like a card game. You can't do a 1-for-1 swap. Like, it would make things too difficult, and it's just, it's best just to have an all-comers list. Either have an all-comers list, or be prepared to get killed by one certain type of list.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, if you don't have anti-flyer, then be prepared to get your ass kicked by a flyer. and I like that. I mean, it would have been cool to have some sort of system, but at the same time, if you know that you're going to be going up against that list again, you can adjust. So.
Exactly. Other changes, the vehicle damage has changed quite a bit.
Yeah, I like that change because they 5th edition vehicles were really tough, hard to kill. 6th edition, they were very weak to kill with their hull points. I still like them, honestly. I never thought they were really too weak, and I like the 6th edition vehicle rules. Because I'm a big fan of vehicles. I mean, everyone that's played against me knows I like taking tanks. It's just, it's just really fun. And now they've kind of found that nice mix between hull points and blowing up. Like, they're not harder to kill necessarily. They're harder to explode.
Yeah.
So you can still glance them, but it's harder to actually blow them up. So you're more likely to get their hull points worth rather than getting destroyed on a lucky shot.
Which I definitely like that.
Because I've done that to you a lot.
So many lucky shots make me so sad. But yeah. So yeah, just 1 to 3 for crew shaken, 4 for crew stunned, 5 weapon destroyed, 6 is now mobilised, and 7+ explodes.
I like
So,
that because you basically need to have something that increases your damage roll.
yeah,
So
well,
it needs,
even AP1 you've got to roll 5.
yeah,
So
it's I definitely like it. I think that really I think that really works. Um,
definitely.
and it makes an exploding tank feel more epic as well. Like, oh my god, it just freaking exploded. Instead of like, oh well, that's another one that explodes. That's
Yeah.
another one that explodes. You're like, damn, that exploded. Did they change? I don't know did they change the strength of the explosion? That would have been cool if they made it stronger. So when it explodes, not only is it more rare, but it's more devastating. They probably didn't, but it would have been cool.
Strength 6, AP nothing.
Of the explosion?
Oh
Like
no, that's
the-
Crash and Burn. Sorry, yeah. Strength 4, AP
Yeah.
yeah.
Oh, actually,
Crash
is
and
that
Burn
that is
maybe-
different than if it's strength 4? Usually it's strength 3.
Yeah, so yeah, Strength 4. And the Crash and Burn is now, Strength 6.
That's kind of cool because now if you explode a tank next to another tank, it could hurt the tank.
That's awesome.
So that's kind of cool. Does that mean it's freaking strength 5 to the troops inside it? Yeah, I mean, don't look it up now, but usually that's what it would be. It would be plus strength. That's kind of cool. But yeah, so I mean, the rules are really just really nice. I mean, I can't complain. There's probably gonna be something I'm gonna be unhappy with, but right now, I mean, I really can't complain.
There's a lot of fun. A lot of fun. Well, do you want to talk about the psychic phase? I think that's one of the things I'm having one of the most fun with at the moment.
The psychic phase right now, the way I'm seeing it, it's a little bit hit or miss right now, whether I find it to be a revolutionary change or just a bit of fun. Right now, I think it's a bit of fun. Like it's not this huge change. I just think it's a little bit of fun. It's yeah, it's just I think I think it feels more psychery. You have this warp charge, and rather than you pass a leadership test, what the hell does a leadership test have to do with anything? You know, like a leadership test is a leadership test. You're just, now it actually has its own mechanic, and it feels like it's something. It feels like you're casting powers, not just rolling a leadership test. And that's what I like about it. But I feel like it's just a little bit of fun with your psychers. I mean, I know a lot of people think that you have to take psychers now. Like it's just the thing. If you don't take psychers, you're gonna get destroyed.
I don't think that's necessary. Yeah.
I mean, what are your thoughts on it? You're the one that used psychers. I didn't use them.
Well, I like it. It's a lot of fun. Like I'm obviously a staunch heretic, so I'm playing my Chaos Space Marines and taking the Malefic demonology powers. So summoning in demons, and I managed to get some plague drones in against Sarah, which was fun. And I managed to get some plague bearers and a herald in against you, but both times you ended up killing yourself with perils because using Malefic powers any doubles. Is perils of the warp, which is heavy.
That's the one thing I kind of like, because I feel like if you're a demon or if you're a chaos guy and you're summoning demons, the stress that's going to be putting on your mind and body is just devastating. But then I like the idea that like someone else can do it, but you're probably not going to see a Space Marine do it, like because they have more respect not only for not freaking summoning chaos, but for themselves as well. Like they're not so much willing to sacrifice themselves. Not sacrifice themselves, but you know what I mean. Like for petty things, like summoning a few demons. And I like it that that's showing the desperate. It felt like your character was like just desperate to not only like win, but kind of show off. It kind of felt like it's like, look what I'm doing. Like I don't care. Like if I die, I'm gonna be praised by freaking Nurgle. He's gonna probably make me into a demon. Like it kind of felt like he didn't care about his own safety, and I felt like that really showed a Chaos Sorcerer. Like that was a Chaos Sorcerer. Just this guy does not care about himself. The guys next to him, he just wants to make as much power and damage and chaos as possible before he meets Papa Nurgle. And it really did come out in that game.
Definitely, and it's high risk, high reward, like, and it's crazy in like low scoring games, like you'd be getting like crazy amounts of stuff out if you don't die, which is just awesome. And the fact that you've got the rules now, if you've got the models the models come as they're equipped, so you can have icons and banners and instruments.
That's only for demons, though.
Champions. For
So
demons.
if there is another rule somewhere, I don't know if there is, but if you have something that summons something else, right now it's only for demons unless specified. Because the actual rule says, like, cannot be upgraded or anything, but then it also has a mention about demons, right? Saying that demons can come with all that. Yeah.
Yeah, demons come with that. Yeah, which is cool.
But
And
yeah,
you gotta have it. You gotta have it because I rolled for the power to give me a great unclean one, and I really wanted to do it, but I still haven't got myself a great unclean one yet.
yeah, it's.
So it's working on me because I need to buy it now.
I'm like it's. Honestly, you could say it's a money grab, and maybe it is. But if I'm happy buying that model, if it's gonna give me joy to buy this model and only use it when I'm using psychic powers and probably never get it to work once I buy it, if I'm happy and then Games Workshop's happy that I brought it, who else cares? And I mean, that's what's gonna happen. You know that, right? Like, you're gonna buy it, and then you're never gonna summon it.
The thing is, I can always run it with my demons and stuff. But yeah, but the thing is, like,
You could always use it as a demon prince, even. Like, you kind of double it. I mean,
yeah.
I would allow it.
Yeah, and the thing is, like, I don't feel like my arm's being twisted. This is something that I have seen and that I want to do.
Yeah,
you
it's
don't
like,
have to do this.
yeah, because you don't even have to take the psychic powers if you want. You could take. You don't have to. You don't have to take conjuration or whatever the demonology one is called. Like, you don't have to take it. You could take the Noggle psychic powers, whatever.
Yeah,
You
sure.
could take
and
an-
also, yeah, all Chaos guys get their, if they're marked, they get their Primaris power, which is awesome too.
But yeah, you can take other psychic powers. You don't have to take that one. So, it's kind of cool. What I was gonna say is I'm gonna tie this into what I was gonna say before on tactical objectives, but I'm really excited about what else they're gonna bring out for it. And what I was saying with tactical objectives, it would be cool if they bring out like new decks of tactical objectives for like themed play, like maybe like a Death World tactical objective, or like so they have rules for the like a Death World, and then they also have tactical objectives for that, or like they bring out like more objectives for like themed kind of missions.
That'd be awesome.
Like I think that'd be really cool. Like I can just see like
supplements and things. You can imagine them being within them.
yeah, I almost feel like 6th edition is kind of like their test on how supplements were going to work, and then 7th edition is like, they're like, holy shit, supplements are amazing, people will buy them, people like them, let's make a rule set that just lends itself so well to bringing out more supplements. And
you're not forced to buy the supplements. They're just to add to what you want.
I really think, though, and I'm not going to use it, but I really think, though, I think it would be really amazing if they did bring out a tournament rule set, like a book that kind of tailored the game to tournament play. I think I really would like that. I don't play in tournaments. I don't play competitive 40k anymore, but I would like it if they brought out something for the tournament players, because I feel like players like us are getting spoiled, because they're basically saying like, you can do whatever the hell you want to, make these epic battles, just enjoy the fluff, enjoy the story, and tournament players are like, well, fuck, what other rules are we going to be forced to implement on ourselves to make this a fair and competitive game? And I think a book kind of tailoring the rules, or like a tournament kind of edition, I think that would be kind of cool.
That'd definitely be cool.
Or even just like a book that's like, this is what we suggest, and this is how we did a tournament, and then just kind of do like half rules, half White Dwarf article, and then sell it for $50. I mean, that's what they did with the Crusade of Fire for campaigns. It was like, this is what you can do. It's not set in stone. This is just how we did it. And now the rest of the book is going to be White Dwarf articles. I still brought it, and I still like that book, but yeah. That's all they need to do. And I like that.
Warhammer World did say that it was just straight up Force Organization and standard rules, like for their coming tournaments.
Yeah, I think it's just going to be standard Force Organization, standard missions. Well, tournaments usually have their own missions anyway, but yeah.
And all other unofficial tournaments are going to have their own rules and.
I would like to see it if it was just like a set thing. So all tournaments had a set kind of rule set. Like it was just something that you could have a genuine Games Workshop thing for, instead of going into a tournament and having to change everything because this tournament doesn't like this, but this tournament like will let you use it, but that one doesn't do that. You know, and it's like it'd be cool if it was just a set thing. It probably won't happen, but I you know, and I wouldn't use it, but I would like to see it anyway.
Yeah.
And
they've taken a step back recently, but it'd definitely be an interesting change.
yeah. But I mean, because with the addition of being able to take super heavies in regular 40k games,
yeah.
Like personally, I think it's about time. Because I don't play Apocalypse. I don't play Apocalypse. I play regular 40k. So now you're letting me take my super heavies in a game of 40k. It's awesome. And we've played games with my Titan, and he is powerful, but he's not insanely OP. Like you can still handle him.
You're gonna get told off for calling him a Titan, Toxic.
I am, but he's a Titan, okay? He's a Titan. He's a mini Titan. People can say whatever they want. It's a mini Titan.
Exactly.
It is a mini Titan. I'm sorry.
But yeah, but like I've got hits on it and taken whole points off it. Like it's devastating.
You killed it at the end of the first game.
That is true.
Mm-hmm.
I did kill one. I killed a knight. Yeah.
You killed a mini Titan.
You mini Titan.
A Night Titan. It's a Night Titan. Come on.
Yep.
But yeah, so I'm just really looking forward to going ahead now, and if I could just be bothered enough to paint my army, I'd be even in more shape. Like, you know, I'd be even in better shape than where I am now. Yeah, so I'm just excited. So it's good.
Yeah, new rules seem amazing, and there's those changes that we sort of talked about. Reserves coming in on 3s, not getting the bonus for subsequent turns, but then some coming in late game, which is interesting.
It's good.
Make reserves more of a thing to use.
It's good because like no, you don't have to be like, well, what turn is it's just 3. You know, I like that. Like the game kind of, I don't want it to be simplified down and made like real dumb, but I think like simplifying some rules is a good thing.
Yeah.
Because the game's already confusing. I mean, maybe not to people that have been playing it for a while, but you pick up the rulebook now and it's confusing. I mean, Sarah's new to the game. When she played with you, did she find it difficult? Well, I mean, she's just learning 6th edition, so she probably found it difficult changing all of a sudden. But were some of the things kind of easier or harder, or?
I think it's always a bit of a shock getting your head around new things, but she definitely enjoyed what there was, and the way things worked. Especially after, because we paused halfway through, and then we played our game, and there was definitely some things that we took from your game, which helped our understanding.
I'm definitely gonna try and get D back into playing because, like, it's nice to play on Vessel. Like, it's good, and it's a really nice like way to play. Obviously, because otherwise we wouldn't be able to.
Yeah.
But it's just like something about playing on a table, like as well, like just playing with your models.
Definitely. And now that ours we're painted up, it's even nicer.
Now you just need a nice table to go along with that.
Yeah, we're getting to that point. We're gonna paint up a table mat or something.
Yeah, I feel like it's a good addition. I'm happy, but I was happy when I first started playing in the early 5th edition. I was happy in 6th edition, and I'm even more happy in 7th edition. I love 6th edition, and now 6th edition seems like such crap compared to 7th edition. And I'm saying that in the like 6th edition feels like it's not whole without 7th edition. You know what I mean? Like 6th edition I thought was amazing, but I feel like 7th edition is 6th edition and it's just filled all its holes. It's kind of like when a sequel is actually better than the original or like one of the other ones. So you're like, well, why would I ever go back and play that one again? Because I have this one, and I'm happy. So that's it's about all I can say. Like,
yeah, not a crazy amount different, but there is enough different for it to feel new and fresh, and yeah,
There's not
and
a
just
crazy amount of differences, but at the same time, it feels like there is.
yeah.
You know, like there's not a crazy amount, but if you look at our game in seventh and then look at a game in sixth, like that's a completely different game, nearly. The way that it was kind of played.
Oh, definitely. That is the thing. The tactical missions, I think, give the biggest change. So you've got tactical missions and everyone has psychers, then it's a whole new game.
But don't feel like you need to take psychics, because I didn't take any, and it was very difficult to stop psychic powers. But if you think about it, let's say demonology was in 6th edition, you wouldn't have been able to stop it anyway. Unless you had like a psychic hood or I don't know, like a runic weapon or whatever the space wolves get to stop psychic powers, because you could never use Deny the Witch unless it was targeting you. So it's very difficult to stop it, considering Seb had to get 3 successes. I would needed to roll at least 3 on my warp pull, my warp charge, and then roll 3 6+s to stop it. So super difficult, like nearly impossible to stop it happening. But I never would have got the chance anyway. I at least have the chance to stop it, and you're very possible at being able to stop the smaller stuff. Like when you turned your guy into a plague bearer, wasn't that like 1 warp charge?
Yeah,
And then I had 2. So I had 2 dice to stop that. That was my full warp thing for that. That's very possible to roll a 6 on 2 dice. Like that was very doable. I didn't do it.
And it's pretty possible to roll a 6, yeah, having no psycho for your warp charge. So you could have 6 chances to roll a 6.
Yeah, and then if you cast your power, you get 3. You still have to roll 3 6 on 6 dice, but it's it's still a chance, and it could be brutal, like that one time you pass it, and then your enemy's like, well, I just freaking suffered a wound and killed myself, and it didn't even mean nothing because you stopped it.
It's big risk, big reward. But while we're talking about this, what we were talking about before was quite interesting. The fact that with the demons you can take 4 heralds. You take 4 heralds with psychic abilities. And imagine if you took them as allies to Chaos Space Marines, you could have 6. You have 6 psychers generating an insane.
Are allies still only allowed to have 1 HQ though?
Oh yeah, so we have
so
5.
you had 5, yeah.
It's still crazy. Well, even just the 4 for the demons on their own is still a whole lot of warp charge going on.
What I was kind of thinking though is like, and what I was saying, the way that I see it though, I feel like the psychic phase is just a little bit of fun, just because of my reason behind that though is because I feel like it's more unreliable to get your psychic powers off. Rolling a leadership test didn't feel psychery, but it was so freaking easy. Like, it's basically my list. I'm gonna have to make a new list for 7th edition because my veteran squads, I ran them with a psyker each because I could twin link them every turn. And I'm kind of disappointed that I can't do that anymore. I can. It's going to be more difficult though, because it's like warp charge 2 level 1 psychers. So I'm only going to get 2 plus d6, right?
Yeah.
So that's like 5. So it's it'd be very difficult to get both of them to happen every turn. And so I'm a little bit disappointed that I can't do that. But at the same time, I feel like it's necessary because that was getting kind of ridiculous. Everyone was just taking divination, psychers, and twin link and everything. And I feel like,
isn't it, from 1?
yeah, and that's why I feel like it's just more like a little bit of fun now because it's unreliable. You're not going to get it off every turn, and the only way you're going to get it off every turn is if you take so much psychers but only use 1 psyker and just spend all the warp charge on it.
But
And that's
crazy kill them.
yeah,
That
well, yeah, and that's not, it's not, yeah, it just, I feel like now it's become its own. It feels nice, it feels fun, it feels more like you're casting powers. At the same time, it's not as reliable. So I feel like it's not as like I feel like people thought, well, they're making a freaking psychic phase, I'm gonna have to have psychers to win now. I feel like no, you don't. You just kind of, if you want psychers, they're just not as overpowered. I feel like, yeah, honestly, I'm gonna say this now, I feel like psychers actually took a little bit of a hit in the new psychic phase. Like, they can be really powerful, but at the same time, I feel like because they're more unreliable, they're a little bit more difficult to.
It's a dangerous thing to do, and it shows it's the dangers of the warp. The warp is not something to be trifled with, and it's not something that always sorts you out.
Well, yeah, I like that because like that means like a Space Marine librarian, right? He's probably going to be fighting mostly with his pistol and a sword, and then only when he really needs to activate that psychic power.
Because it's a risk. It's always a risk. You mess with the warp.
It's tiring as well.
It is.
But you can't just every turn just be casting powers and like it's. I mean, you can like if you're desperate enough, you are. But that's why they have perils of the warp because you're getting tired, and those perils are getting, easier to finish you off. And I feel like the psychic phase is found such a good balance in fluff and rule set that it really has just come out and just been like, it's just such a good rule. Not because it's made things stronger, but just because it's made things just feel more psychic.
Yeah,
psychery.
Yeah. I just want to touch like you said about the leadership for 6th edition. It's kind of like a mental fortuity test, isn't it? Like how strong your mind is.
I think that's what they. I think that's what like they were meant to do, but to me it feels like give them a willpower like role or like I mean like you know what I mean, like it's like a leadership is your leadership, and yeah, like it makes sense when you put it that way, but still.
Yeah, because
this is much better.
Like a commissar would have high leadership, but they're not going to necessarily have mental fortitude of a librarian.
Yeah. So I much prefer this system. I think it works, and I think it kind of I definitely like it a lot more this way. It feels more appropriate and psychery, and feels like you're casting powers rather than passing a leadership test and activating a special ability.
Yeah, it's just a lot of fun.
It is a lot of fun. And I really want to. I kind of want to base an army around psychic powers just for the fun of it. Like, not for, like, destroying people with psychic powers, but just for the fun. Like, maybe when orcs come out, we'll see what they're like, and I'll add a bunch of psychers in an orc army.
I need a bunch more heralds.
It's going to be a psychic arms race.
Yeah.
But I didn't play any with my Imperial Guard, and I didn't feel like I was missing out. Like
it's part of the step of the game. I think when there's a new phase added to a game, it seems like it's the be all end all and it's a very important part. But not everyone shoots every shooting phase. Not everyone moves every moving phase. So if you think about it like that, it's not essential.
Yeah, and I actually thought it was really fun coming in there with no Psyker and feeling that overwhelming presence of there's a Psyker on the field. Because you do feel that presence, like, and I feel like if you were in that battlefield, I feel like you would feel the presence of a Psyker on the battlefield, and that's kind of how it put me in the mindset of rocking up to this battle with no Psyker, and just feeling obviously I could see, and I didn't feel it, but it kind of felt like you could just feel the presence of the Psyker, because just every turn something was happening, and you feel like this overwhelming dread, like, there's a Psyker on the battlefield. Crap.
Got that actinic tang in your mouth as a single book describes it.
Even though he casted some demons, we shot him down. Casted a herald, we shot him down. Killed himself. And that was about it. But it felt like he was doing stuff. And he was.
Yeah,
like
he was busy.
he kept himself busy, yeah. I feel like it would have been different if they had come out first turn as well.
Yeah.
But that's the risk, I guess,
Definitely.
And we were kind of talking about that conjuration power, and is it better to be taken in a small game or a large game? Have you thought more about that, like the being able to conjure units?
Oh, definitely. I see the value of it in a small game over the big game, because you could just end up swamping someone, and like I said, when getting the drones out against Sarah, that's what. With the upgrades that you're allowed, that's like 150 points, something like that, and like just adding to your army is kind of awesome.
Definitely.
And it's a 500 point game. It's just bananas. I if I have my great unclean one or a couple of great unclean ones, I may be more inclined to take them in a big battle. But I don't know if I would go straight Malefic. I'd probably stick to some Nurgle powers now, especially if that you can get another one as well as the Primaris.
I think in a big game you have to treat them as what they are, just a free unit with a cheap psyker. You know, like you just kind of don't expect them to do much, but try to get them to do as much as they can. So expect them to just, take some fire at most. At best, maybe kill a unit, capture an objective. That you don't expect them to do a lot in a big game. In a small game, you can, you should maybe have a little bit more expectation on what they're going to be able to do. Depending on where you're at in the game when they arrive. Like obviously, when you were packed into the corner and summon them, they're not going to do as much as if you were, somewhere without. You know what I mean?
Yeah. But also, you're only going to be scoring. You've got to remember that it's only us heretics that will be scoring, so they're not going to be allies for other people or battle brothers.
But yeah, it was it's definitely just not a game changer, but just something fun. At first, I honestly thought this is terrible. Everyone's just going to be summoning demons and carrying on, but now that I've played, I kind of feel like it fits. It works. It's pretty cool.
Yeah, and I would say maybe try and take an extra psyker and make them your Malefic summoning guy, because losing your warlord is not good.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, it's if you can fit a psyker in there, I would say take a psyker just for some psychic defense, even.
Yeah.
And even just to keep your enemy, because can you imagine if I had a psyker, right? You don't want me to cast my psychic powers, so that means you would actually have to save some warp charge for my turn. Yeah. So that's another thing, because when I didn't have one, you didn't have to worry. You were just rolling however many dice you wanted to. But if I had a psyker, it forces your opponent to watch the amount of warp charge they're using. So even just to take, because you can take one for about what? Then psychers are not expensive. They're 50. And his Imperial Guard one is 50. I think an Inquisitor is about 50. They're under 100 points in most codexes. So they're cheap, and if you could fit one in just to kind of have a psyker in there, don't expect them to do much, but
as an element of fun and flavor to the game.
It even just adds an element of tactical flexibility if you're playing competitively.
I think they just hit the nail on the head there. I'm about fun and flavor, and you're more tactical.
I still play to a bit of flavor. It's just I'm not gonna.
I'm not taking that away from you. I'm just saying you are more tactical.
No, I know. Well, I'm an Imperial commander. I don't pick my units because they're fun and flavorful.
No, this is fair play. But I would also would love to hear how you guys are finding 7th edition.
I wouldn't.
Your
I don't want to hear what you have to say. No, I'm kidding. That's the whole point of Allies Index. Yeah.
So if you want to share battle reports or initial thoughts or ways, army lists of things you're going to be running, we'd love to,
Battle reports would be cool, definitely. Even just, quick, a picture and then a description of something epic happening. That'd be really cool. Just send, moments of awesome stuff that happens in 7th. I think that'd be cool. Of just things.
The 7th wonders of the world.
You're too good at names. That's terrible.
Oh, dear.
But yeah, definitely. So, yeah. But I think this video is probably getting a little bit long enough, so you want to start wrapping it up?
Yeah, I can say I'm having a lot of fun. Be sure. Don't assume you know everything, and check the rules, because there are a few little bit changes. But it all seems to be for the good and all for the fun. And Psychic Phase is dangerous, but good times.
Yeah, it's definitely my final words. I guess it's definitely fun. Enjoy it, and just have fun and enjoy it, because there's definitely a lot of fun to be had. Yeah, just great stuff. Well, anyway, once again, My name's Toxic. With me is being Seb. Check out alliesandx.com for more geeky gaming goodness. As always, have a good one.
Bye.